On October 15, 2010, at 7:30 a.m., an unexpected encounter disrupted my routine. At Wilcox Field, awaiting departure for Nassau, I was approached by two men in shabby attire. They identified themselves as Special Agent Washington and Special Agent Brown from the FBI, requesting my cooperation in a rather courteous manner. Upon confirming their identities with laminated badges, they informed me of my arrest for insider trading, as per charges by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Reluctantly complying, I followed them to a room where my rights were explained and handcuffs were produced. Concerned about the potential public spectacle, I was relieved to find that they allowed me to conceal the handcuffs under my jacket. They confiscated my belongings, including my iPad, and escorted me to their headquarters in Miramar, where I was placed in a room with 3 chairs. After a brief wait, Agents Washington and Brown returned, presenting a litany of charges related to a hacking scheme involving corporate press releases. Declining to cooperate and invoking my right to legal representation, I requested to speak with an attorney. Given access to a phone book, I randomly selected a legal advertisement and contacted a lawyer named Tyler Atkins. Upon explaining my situation, she advised me to remain silent and assured me of her arrival within an hour. Returning to my room, I awaited Ms. Atkins' appearance. When she arrived, her striking appearance captivated me, tall, with fiery red hair and piercing blue eyes. Her beauty was undeniable, distracting even in the midst of a daunting legal situation. She extended her hand for a handshake, her fingers possessing an elegant coolness and a firm grip. I estimated her age to be around 40, though I was mistaken by 7 years. Seated, she perused the list of charges before addressing me. "You find yourself in quite a predicament, Mr. Kavanaugh," she remarked. "Did you commit the alleged acts?" "Does it matter?" I countered. "Not for my representation of you," she clarified. "But personally, it holds significance." "I am innocent," I asserted. "I have no knowledge of hacking, never participated in any scheme, and never had access to pre-released press releases. My involvement in insider trading is unfounded." She scrutinized me skeptically, her penetrating gaze unsettling. "Very well," she acquiesced. "We will proceed with your account. But if I discover deception, the consequences will be severe, understood?" "Crystal clear," I affirmed. "Let's focus on securing your release." "Anyone you wish to contact?" she inquired. "My wife," I replied. "And eventually, my children." "I'll see what I can arrange," she promised. Several hours passed before Ms. Atkins returned with Agent Brown. "Bail has been arranged," she informed me. "Your passport must be surrendered, and your bank accounts are frozen. Do you have access to funds?" "Will my credit card suffice?" I inquired. She exchanged a glance with Agent Brown before replying, "They're inactive. Your wallet will be returned, but your iPad is retained as evidence." "Money isn't an issue, and I'm ready to leave, pending a restroom break," I stated. Given my belongings in an envelope, I exited with Ms. Atkins. "Meet me at 10 tomorrow morning," she instructed, handing me her card and arranging transportation. "Would you like to use my phone?" she offered. I called home but received no answer. Leaving a brief message, I returned her phone. Cabs arrived, and I headed home, anticipating the challenges ahead, contacting my children, locating my wife, and resolving the situation. Daniel and Patricia remained unreachable, so I left messages for them. Following a meal, I contacted my boss, John Sinclair, only to receive the grim news of my termination. My personal belongings were on their way, and I had lost my trader's license, effectively ending my career in the industry. Sinclair seemed almost eager for my anticipated imprisonment, a sobering realization of my dire circumstances. As the night progressed, Kelly failed to return home, her phone calls redirected to voicemail. Her absence fueled my growing anxiety, compounded by uncertainty regarding my children's awareness of the situation. If Kelly knew, surely she had spoken to them. The following morning, I kept my appointment with Ms. Atkins, who outlined the lengthy legal process ahead. The question of payment arose, to which I optimistically replied that my acquittal would resolve such concerns. We embarked on strategizing my defense, although lacking critical details pending the completion of discovery by the FBI and SEC. Inundated with paperwork and discussions, I left Ms. Atkins' office, returning home to a flurry of messages, unexpectedly, from Kelly and the children. Stranded in Belmopan, Belize, they urgently sought financial assistance, their credit cards rendered useless. Perplexed by their sudden presence in Belize, I was interrupted by a call from Kelly, pleading for aid in accessing funds to return home. Regrettably, I informed her of my arrest and the frozen state of our accounts, leaving her stranded with insufficient resources. Desperate for a solution, she requested enough funds for return tickets, highlighting the urgency of their predicament. "I'll do my best," I assured her. "But our bank accounts are frozen." "Okay, honey," she responded. "Please act quickly. Thank you for your help." It was a perplexing exchange. Kelly's nonchalance, coupled with her silence on my arrest and their presence in Belize, left me bewildered. Perhaps, as she mentioned, time constraints prevented her from delving into details. I resolved to await her return to address any lingering questions. Retrieving cash from a safe in the cedar chest left by my mother, I prepared for the uncertain future. After wiring funds for Kelly and the children, I sought solace in a glass of scotch, contemplating the events until exhaustion finally claimed me. The morning brought a call from Ms. Atkins' office, signaling progress in the case. With discovery completed, a computer expert named Laney was enlisted to analyze the evidence. Arriving at Ms. Atkins' office, Laney's expertise proved invaluable as we dissected the digital trail. Despite the damning initial evidence, discrepancies in transaction times emerged, indicating my absence during crucial moments. Ms. Atkins began to entertain the notion of my innocence. "Who has access to your passwords?" she inquired. "Only Kelly knows my computer password," I disclosed. "As for my business passwords, only IT personnel and supervisors would have that information." "Would Kelly have knowledge of your business passwords?" Ms. Atkins probed. "No, I've kept them confidential, even from her," I affirmed. It became evident that someone, likely with Kelly's collaboration, aimed to incriminate me. But why? And how did Kelly obtain the sensitive information? The press releases on my computer predated their official release dates, suggesting insider knowledge exploited for financial gain. The involvement of my boss, John Sinclair, in funneling information to Kelly to avoid detection raised suspicions. The utilization of my computer was a calculated move to frame me, a realization that dawned upon me with chilling clarity. John's access to my computer at work, combined with subsequent audits, completed the scheme, leaving me ensnared in a web of deceit. I first met Kelly at a work event 2 years prior, where she accompanied my boss, John Sinclair. Initially puzzled by John's choice of companion given his marital status, he quickly explained that his wife, Lucille, was unwell, and Kelly, a family friend, stepped in. Accepting his explanation, I found Kelly to be charming. Throughout the evening, Kelly gravitated towards me, prompting John to request I escort her home. Unfazed, I obliged. Kelly disclosed being a divorcee with 2 children, Daniel, 18, and Patricia, 16, who were with their father for the weekend. Our relationship blossomed, yet interactions with her children were scarce and strained. Despite these peculiarities, I proposed, elated by her acceptance. However, Daniel and Patricia's absence from the wedding raised questions. Kelly attributed their absence to lingering divorce-related issues, which puzzled me given our lengthy courtship. Temporarily setting aside my concerns, I relished in our wedding festivities, eagerly anticipating our honeymoon. At the reception, I observed Kelly and John's proximity on the dance floor, prompting me to intervene. Their brief hesitation fueled my unease, though Kelly dismissed my concerns as trivial. Later, in our honeymoon suite, Kelly's allure was undeniable as she shed her wedding gown, revealing her enticing figure. Our passion ignited, her arousal palpable as I guided her towards the bed, overcome by her intoxicating scent. Her glistening arousal beckoned as I eagerly indulged in her, tasting her essence with every lick and caress. With each flick of my tongue, her pleasure intensified until she reached the pinnacle of ecstasy. Though she offered to reciprocate, my primal urge demanded penetration. Positioning myself between her legs, I entered her, our bodies entwined in a frenzy of desire. Our fervent kisses conveyed a hunger for each other that knew no bounds. As she guided me inside her, our rhythm synchronized, the boundary between giver and receiver blurred in the throes of passion. Surrendering to the ecstasy, we climaxed together in a symphony of shared pleasure. Kelly assumed control, straddling my face as I worshipped her, succumbing to the intoxicating allure of her essence. Rejuvenated, she returned the favor before impaling herself on me, our bodies melding in a dance of mutual gratification. After reaching new heights of ecstasy, we drifted into peaceful slumber in each other's embrace. The following morning, we embarked on our honeymoon, a fleeting escape from the realities of life. Upon our return, we settled into routine, our intimacy a constant source of bliss. However, integrating into Kelly's family proved challenging, as Daniel and Patricia remained distant and aloof. Despite Kelly's indifference, I resolved to address the underlying tension. Encountering Daniel and Patricia one evening, their silence spoke volumes. Determined to confront the issue, I urged them to acknowledge our familial bond, emphasizing the need for mutual respect. In a moment of vulnerability, Patricia broke the silence, hinting at their underlying animosity. "We hate you," she declared, her words laced with venom, "and will always hate you for tearing apart our family." "What are you talking about?" I countered, baffled. "Your mother told me she was divorced when we met." "No, she wasn't," Daniel interjected, breaking his silence. "She didn't file for divorce until 2 months into your relationship. It wasn't finalized until just before your wedding." I stood there, dumbfounded, unable to comprehend the revelation. "Kids, you have to believe me," I pleaded, shaken. "Your mother assured me she was divorced. I would never knowingly get involved with a married woman." "Yeah, right," Daniel retorted. "That's not what she said. Why should we trust you over our own mother?" With their accusations hanging in the air, they left the room, Patricia in tears. I stormed upstairs to confront Kelly, finding her in the shower, seemingly unperturbed by the chaos unfolding downstairs. "Kelly, this isn't a joke," I admonished, struggling to contain my frustration. "The kids just told me you were still married when we started dating." "Of course, dear, I mentioned we were separated," she dismissed casually. "You never told me that," I countered, exasperated. "You said you were divorced. I would never have pursued a relationship with you otherwise." "Let's not dwell on the past," she deflected, her allure momentarily clouding my judgment. "Come join me, and we'll forget all about it." Despite my lingering unease, I succumbed to her charms, momentarily setting aside my doubts as I joined her in the shower. But the doubts lingered, gnawing at my conscience. In moments of solitude, I mulled over the unsettling revelations, my thoughts veering towards uncomfortable truths about infidelity and Kelly's closeness to John at our wedding. Determined to find clarity, I arranged to meet Lucille, John's wife, hoping to uncover the truth behind Kelly's past. "Well," Lucille began, "that's not entirely accurate. I could have attended, but John told me it was a company-only event, no spouses allowed." Her revelation hit me like a ton of bricks, leaving me reeling with disbelief. "What's wrong, Selden?" Lucille inquired, concern etched on her face. "I might as well have just lost my best friend," I replied somberly. "You're familiar with my wife, Kelly, right?" "Of course, I was at your wedding," she recalled. "She made a stunning bride." "Indeed she did. But did I ever share how we first met?" I queried. Lucille shook her head, prompting me to recount the events. "She was at that same party, on John's arm. He claimed you were unwell, which now seems like a blatant lie." I refrained from divulging my suspicions about Kelly and John's ongoing affair, not wanting to confront him prematurely. Determined to uncover the truth, I obtained a copy of Patagonia and cloned Kelly's phone, granting me access to her communications. Within moments, I stumbled upon damning evidence of their illicit relationship. "Hi, John, it's Kelly," her voice echoed through the recording. "Hey, babe, what's up?" John responded casually. "I've got everything set on my end. Selden thinks I'm out with the girls, and Angela's covering for me. Can you slip away from the wife?" Not a problem, John assured her. I told her it's a dull business dinner with out-of-town clients. Kelly's laughter reverberated through the line. You mean an affair, John? Their conversation took a sinister turn as they discussed their malicious intentions. Did you execute the trades I instructed? John inquired. Yes, but why use Selden's computer? Kelly questioned, confusion evident in her tone. Because he'll be our scapegoat, John explained callously. By the time they catch on, we'll be long gone. Have you informed your kids? Not yet, but they'll understand once I explain we're taking his money and living lavishly on an island, Kelly replied nonchalantly. My blood ran cold as their callous scheme unfolded before me. In the aftermath, I leaned back, overwhelmed by the magnitude of their betrayal. Discovering the depth of their deception and betrayal shook me to my core. Despite my suspicions, hearing their callous discussions about framing me and their illicit activities left me reeling. I had invested my heart in our relationship, believing her love for me was genuine. Now, faced with the truth, I was at a loss. Determined to uncover more, I installed keystroke loggers on both my personal and work computers. Almost immediately, I unearthed damning evidence of John and Kelly's scheme. They were using my identities to execute insider trades, manipulating me into being their scapegoat while they profited. Listening to Kelly's conversations with Daniel and Patricia only added to my anguish. They believed her twisted version of events, blaming me for breaking up her marriage, unaware of her own infidelity with John. Their willingness to participate in her plan to frame me was a bitter pill to swallow. Further investigation revealed their plan to flee the country with the stolen funds, hiding it in a Belize bank account. Using the information from the keystroke loggers, I began discreetly siphoning off funds from our accounts, stashing them away for my own survival. With a new laptop and a strategic plan in place, I intercepted their next move. Transferring the money to a bank in Barbados and then to the Cayman Islands, I ensured they couldn't access it. As I left for the airport, I knew Kelly and the kids were bound for Belize, leaving John behind to orchestrate my downfall. But I was ready to fight back, determined to clear my name and reclaim what was rightfully mine. That's when the friendly FBI paid me a visit. Picking up Kelly and the kids at the airport was surreal. While Kelly hugged me tightly, Daniel and Patricia wore odd expressions. Despite my legal troubles, Kelly showed no surprise or concern. Thank you so much, Selden, Kelly gushed. I didn't know what to do in Belize. No money, and the credit cards wouldn't work. I get that, Kelly, I replied, but why were you even in Belize? We never discussed any trips, and didn't you buy round-trip tickets? Let's not talk about it now, Selden, she deflected. I just want to get home. As we drove, I pondered her actions, knowing more than she realized. Back home, Kelly immediately called John. John, it's a disaster, she cried. The money's gone. The account was closed, and it's in Barbados now. What do you mean, gone? John sounded alarmed. The bank wouldn't tell me anything, Kelly lamented. Did you do this, John? No, Kelly, why would I? John protested. Maybe to keep it for yourself? Kelly accused. Come on, Kelly, you know I'd never betray you, John pleaded. I suppose not, Kelly sighed, but don't let me find out otherwise. She hung up. Watching their exchange, I smiled inwardly. The seeds of mistrust were sown, aiding my plans. Kelly returned, feigning innocence. So, Selden, she began, about your arrest for insider trading? It's baffling, I replied. FBI arrested me at the airport, found press releases on my computer. But most of it happened when I was away. Did you do it? She asked. Kelly, come on, you know me, I scoffed, but how'd it get on my computer? That's the real mystery. Kelly appeared surprised at my remark, but quickly composed herself. So, how do you think they got there? She asked. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I replied. What do you mean? She inquired, her tone betraying her unease. It's quite obvious, isn't it? Do you have any inkling how those documents ended up on my computer? I pressed. Absolutely not, Selden, she asserted, I wouldn't have a clue where to start with that. Fair enough, Kelly, I said, though internally, I harbored doubts. Let's wait for the investigators to do their job. As I left, I noticed her furtive glances and sensed her nervousness. Retrieving my phone, I received an alert indicating she was placing a call. It came as no shock that she dialed John Sinclair. He knows, John, she exclaimed. I don't know how, but he knows. Stay calm, Kelly, John reassured her. He can't know anything. If he did, we'd be in handcuffs by now. I suppose, she conceded, but something's not right. Where did the money go? If neither of us took it, who did? I wish I knew, Kelly, I wish I knew, John sighed. My next meeting with Ms. Atkins proved intriguing. While the evidence suggested my innocence, the prosecutors remained skeptical due to the transactions on my computer. Complicating matters was my growing attraction to Ms. Atkins. Despite my attempts to advance our relationship beyond professional boundaries, she maintained her ethical stance. Kelly's attempts to implicate me continued, even as she sought solace in my arms. Selden, you must believe me, she pleaded. I would never frame you. I love you. I struggled to conceal my amusement, knowing the depths of her deceit. Let's pause for a moment. Subscribe to the channel and write your opinion in the comments. Let's continue the story. I understand, Kelly. Don't worry, things will work out. Could someone else have accessed my computer? Has anyone else been in the house? I couldn't rule out the possibility that John had been there, though I couldn't fathom why. No, Selden, she stammered, definitely not. Though guilt nagged at me, it felt justified. She had brought this upon herself. Perhaps it was the kids. They've always resented me, blaming me for your divorce. Kelly's shock was palpable as she struggled to respond. That's absurd, Selden, she insisted. Even if they disliked you, where would they get such information? Well, if it wasn't them, and no one else has been here, then it must have been. Kelly's eyes widened in horror as she fled the room. The police repeatedly summoned Kelly for questioning, yet lacked evidence beyond the transactions on my computer. When they discovered that all the press releases had passed through John's desk, they interrogated him, but he remained uncooperative. An anonymous tip exposed John's affair with Kelly, substantiated by phone records and her trip to Belize, leading to their downfall. Kelly ultimately confessed, pleading with me for mercy. Enough, Kelly, I retorted, I know everything. You and John manipulated me. It's over. Daniel and Patricia may reunite with their father, but not with you. You'll pay for your crimes. Tears streamed down Kelly's face as the bailiff escorted her away, facing a 5-year sentence, while John received 10. The children remained estranged, still holding me responsible for their family's demise. Tyler helped clear my record and restore my trader's license, but returning to my old job was out of the question. Over drinks with Tyler, I broached a crucial topic. So, I inquired, does this mean the case is closed and I'm in the clear? Yep, Tyler confirmed, you're off the hook. Great, I replied, consider yourself dismissed. Tyler nearly choked on her drink. What? Why? Well, I began, you mentioned ethical boundaries regarding dating clients. Yes, but I failed to see how. A realization dawned on her. I must be dense, she admitted, especially for a lawyer. I never caught on. Now that you're aware, what's your take? Do we stand a chance? There's always potential, she acknowledged. It's just that I haven't viewed you that way. You wound me, I jestingly clutched my heart. Oh, no, she backpedaled. I didn't mean it negatively. You're attractive, and under different circumstances. I sense a but, I interrupted. Yes, but, she conceded, we met under professional circumstances, with you facing serious allegations. But I was innocent, I protested. I don't dispute that, she clarified. The police lacked evidence to proceed with charges against you, but it's not quite the same as being proven innocent. As Dickens said, the law is an arse, I quoted. Tyler chuckled. That's a common sentiment, but it is what it is. You still haven't answered my question. Will you go out with me? You're persistent, she noted. Fine, but we need serious discussions first. I'm all ears, I responded, curious about her suspicions. You have secrets, she asserted, and I intend to uncover them. I perked up. Challenge accepted. She smiled knowingly, and we arranged a dinner date for Friday, parting with a warm handshake. Our subsequent dates were enjoyable, but tension lingered. Tyler sensed something I wasn't revealing, and I feared losing her if I disclosed too much. Our relationship continued, but there was always an unspoken tension in our conversations. It felt like an interrogation at times, and it was taking a toll. Tyler hesitated to deepen our bond because she couldn't fully trust me, and given my past with Kelly, I empathized with her caution. However, I struggled to muster the courage to disclose everything to her. Things reached a breaking point one evening while we were getting intimate on her sofa. Tyler abruptly halted our passion, expressing her difficulty in continuing this way. Selden, she began, I can't keep pretending. Are you ending things? I questioned, my heart sinking. I don't want to, she confessed. I care about you deeply, but trust is paramount in a relationship. Why? What have I done to lose your trust? I pleaded. Don't play dumb, she retorted. You know more about your case than you've let on. The anonymous tip, the missing money, it's all too suspicious. Caught between honesty and potential fallout, I took a leap of faith. I knew if I didn't come clean, our relationship was doomed. Tyler, I need to tell you everything, I confessed, bracing myself for a reaction. She appeared taken aback but signaled for me to continue. I recounted our meeting, Kelly's deception, and the unraveling of her scheme, cloning her phone, uncovering the affair, and the insider trading. I didn't need to mention my actions afterward, it was clear to her. Exhausted, I awaited her response, unsure if this confession would cost me everything. Tyler remained silent, lost in thought. I suspected as much, she finally spoke, but hearing it from you is still jarring. I nodded, awaiting her verdict. I understand, I replied, but where does that leave us? I'm not sure yet. I need time to process everything. I think you should go for now. I'll reach out when I'm ready. Though reluctant, I knew respecting her space was my best option. I kissed her forehead and departed. The following days dragged on, filled with anxiety. I oscillated between longing for and dreading her call. The looming fear of legal repercussions only added to my unease. Then, one Friday evening, her name flashed on my phone screen. With trembling hands, I answered. Hello, Tyler, I greeted, my voice betraying my nerves. Hi, Selden. I've made some decisions. Can you come over for dinner at 7? We'll talk then. Of course, Tyler. I'll be there. Relief washed over me as we said our goodbyes. At least she wanted to talk. I arrived at her door, greeted by a tender kiss. She led me to the kitchen, where we shared a light meal and casual conversation. Despite my nerves, I managed to eat. After dinner, we cleaned up together before retreating to her living room. Silence enveloped us as we settled on opposite ends of the couch. Selden, she began, breaking the quiet, I'm disappointed you didn't trust me from the start. But I understand your struggle. And I appreciate your honesty, even if it took some nudging. I nodded, grateful for her understanding. I love you, Selden. And I want us to continue. But there's a condition. I'll do anything, I assured her. I know. It's about the money. I can't keep it. My heart sank. What can we do? It's untraceable. Tyler's eyes gleamed with determination. I have an idea. Let's put it to good use. Do you have any specific ideas? I'm open to whatever you want to do. As you know, both my parents died from cancer. I'd like to donate it to cancer research. That's a wonderful idea, Tyler. I'll start making arrangements first thing tomorrow. Tyler came over, sat on my lap, and gave me a deep kiss. I began to hope that everything would be all right. So, where do we go from here, Tyler? I suggest you take me to bed. I was stunned. Until now, the most we'd done was play with her naked breasts. Get your mind out of the gutter, Selden. I just want to fall asleep in your arms. Of course, I stammered as she giggled. We went upstairs. She let me use the bathroom first, giving me a spare toothbrush. After I finished, she went in. Don't expect me quite that quickly, she teased. I turned down the bed, stripped to my underwear, and got under the covers. I lay there, amazed at the turnaround in my life. Soon, Tyler came out of the bathroom dressed in a modest nightgown. I couldn't even tell if she had anything on underneath. She climbed into bed and scooched over next to me, resting her head on my chest and putting her hand on my stomach. I put my arm around her, pulled her closer, and kissed her forehead. I love you so much, Tyler. I still can't believe you love me. You'd better believe it, Buster. I wouldn't have gone through all this if I didn't. She turned out the light, and despite the early hour, we soon fell asleep. I woke up to every man's dream, Tyler's lips wrapped around my cock as she gave me a wake-up blowjob. I came to my senses to ask what most guys would think is the stupidest question in the world. Tyler, what are you doing? I thought you wanted to wait. She paused to look at me with lust-filled eyes. I guess I can see how you got that impression, she said, but I've been wanting to do that for ages. I just couldn't allow myself until we resolved our other issues. She then returned to her task, and this time I kept my mouth shut and enjoyed it. It didn't take long for me to come, and she smiled at me as she swallowed. Feeling embarrassed, I rushed to the bathroom before I had an accident. She just smiled at me as I ran off. When I returned, she had removed her nightgown. She was in a classic reclining nude pose, and I stood there in awe as she laughed. Close your mouth, Selden, she said, you're attracting flies. I think it's time for some payback, don't you? My mother didn't raise any fools, so I quickly joined her on the bed. She seemed a bit hesitant when I went to kiss her on her mouth, but when she saw my lack of concern, she kissed me back enthusiastically. I slowly moved down her body, caressing her breasts as I kissed her neck, making my way to the valley between her breasts. I was soon sucking on one nipple while caressing her other breast, and my other hand made its way to her pussy. It was soon joined by my mouth and tongue, my fingers stroking her G-spot while I sucked and licked around her clit. She was soon arching her back as her orgasm hit, and I moved back up beside her, gently stroking her hair as she came down. Oh, Selden, honey, I don't think I've ever come like that in my entire life. I intend to make sure that it's just the first of many, I said. Do you intend to kill me with sex? She teased. If I do, I'm going with you, I replied. As I said that, I realized that I was well recovered from the earlier blowjob and began to move into position to make sweet love to her. She tried to move me off. Oh, Selden, please, I don't think I can take it right now. Don't worry, Tyler, I'll be gentle. I think we both need this. She nodded hesitantly, and I positioned myself at her entrance. I'm not particularly well endowed, and Tyler is a big woman, but she was still pleasantly snug and felt fantastic as I very slowly rocked back and forth. It didn't take long for her to find her rhythm as she pushed her hips up to meet mine, wrapped her powerful legs behind me, and pulled me ever deeper into her. I tried to hold off for as long as I could. Just as I was reaching my limit, I felt Tyler begin her orgasm, and I let loose with all that I had. I rolled off her, and we turned and smiled at each other. That was wonderful, she said, but next time I'm on top. That's fine by me, I said, as we kissed and both fell back asleep. The following day, I initiated the process of transferring the funds back from the Cayman Islands and made discreet donations to various cancer research and treatment organizations. Each donation was substantial enough to make a meaningful impact without attracting undue attention. With that task completed, there remained one final piece to resolve the puzzle that had consumed my life for the past couple of years. Tyler and I were enjoying our after-dinner drinks in the living room when we heard a tentative knock on the front door. I rose to answer it, surprised to find Daniel and Patricia standing there, looking apprehensive. Can we come in? Daniel asked hesitantly. Of course, I replied, motioning for them to enter before closing the door behind them. Leading them into the living room, Tyler stood up, visibly startled, and greeted them with a handshake. Tyler, these were my stepchildren, Daniel and Patricia. Please, have a seat. May I get you a drink? Tyler offered hospitably. Daniel glanced at Patricia, who shook her head. No, he said, I don't think we'll be that long. Okay, I replied, curious, why are you here? We came to apologize, Daniel said. I was taken aback by their unexpected apology. Apologize? Apologize for what? For the way that we treated you, Patricia explained. My confusion must have been evident because Daniel elaborated, we visited our mother yesterday. I'm sure that must have been hard for you, but what does that have to do with me? I inquired. She told us the truth about your relationship, Daniel revealed, that she had told you she was divorced. It was more than that, Patricia added. She also admitted that she was already cheating on our father with that jerk, John Sinclair. Well, I responded, I certainly appreciate you coming by like this. I'm sure this whole situation has been very hard on you. They both nodded in agreement. Could you tell me something? I asked, seeking clarification. They looked up at me attentively. I do understand your feelings towards me, especially given what you were told, but even if what you were told was true, your mother wasn't without blame. You were old enough to choose. Why did you stay with her instead of your father? Daniel gave me a sad smile. It was just more of her lies, he explained. She tried to blame the affair on him. He worked too many hours, he traveled too much, he neglected her, the usual excuses. She conveniently left out that she was a stay-at-home mom with expensive tastes, and he had to work hard to support her lifestyle, Patricia added. I could only shake my head in disbelief as they prepared to leave. I shook Daniel's hand and gave Patricia a brief hug. I have to say again that I appreciate you telling me all this. It shows real character. If there's ever anything I can do, I offered. Thank you, but that's really not necessary, Daniel replied. Our father has everything under control. We have a lot of work to do rebuilding our relationship, but it's going well. I think we'll be okay. After seeing them to the door, I returned to the living room and sat back down with Tyler. Phew, I exhaled, that was certainly unexpected. Yes, Tyler agreed, they seem like good kids. Yeah, it's sort of like bad news/good news, I remarked. How so? Tyler inquired. The bad news is that Kelly destroyed our marriage and ruined my relationship with two good kids. And the good news? The good news is that it brought me to you, I declared, pulling her close and kissing her passionately. Before we got very far, Tyler stood up, pulling me to my feet. I think this will be more comfortable elsewhere, she suggested, leading me towards the bedroom. Being no fool, I wasted no time following her. I guess it's not that complicated after all.